Today we're reviewing the Samsung Galaxy Book 2 Pro 360. That's a mouthful, I know. But with that said, get excited because this thing is rocking some of the latest hardware out right now. This particular configuration has Intel's 1240p i5 processor. We also have 8GB of speedy LPDDR5 memory, a 256GB solid-state drive, Intel's integrated Iris Xe graphics, Wi-Fi 6E, as well as Bluetooth 5.1 technologies on board. And yes, of course, it is running Windows 11. Finally, this is the 13-inch iteration with a full HD touch captive system. So there is a lot to dig in with this laptop and plenty to cover. So without further ado, let's get started. As far as unboxing goes, Samsung keeps it nice and simple. So you have this beautiful white box, which of course has some Galaxy Book branding and a picture of the laptop itself. Once you remove all that harmful plastic packaging around here, you're able to open the box. And inside, of course, the first thing you'll find is the laptop itself. So again, remove that protective cloth packaging, and here it is. This thing is seriously nimble, but more on that in a quick minute. Past that, you have a 65-watt portable USB-C charging brick. It's so petite. I love the form factor. Of course, to go along with it, you also have a USB-C to USB-C charging cable. Now, past that, in black, you have the Galaxy Pen stylus, which is, of course, essential for the touch captive display over here. Past that, you also have a paper envelope. Inside here, you'll find the quick start warranty and regulation information. You know, all the fun stuff. The Galaxy Book 2 Pro 360 is a super slim and modern looking device. So it has a full metallic exterior chassis, but on top of that, it only has a weight of just 2.3 pounds and a total height of 11.5 millimeters, making it one of the slimmest ultrabooks you can buy in the mainstream market. Now, one huge flaw with the design of this laptop is that it's an absolute fingerprint magnet. You touch it anywhere, it leaves moisture marks, so much so that it's one of the worst cases of fingerprint traction I've seen on a laptop recently. It definitely is an aesthetical oversight on Samsung's end. Now, starting with the top side of the laptop, you have a smooth textureless metallic surface finish, which actually looks quite nice to the eyes. You also, of course, have some subtle branding by Samsung, nothing excessively flashy, nice and simple. Now, normally I find with really slim laptops, I/O port diversity suffers pretty dramatically. Over here, it's actually decent. So on one side, you have a Thunderbolt 4 USB-C port, a standard USB-C port. On the other side, you'll find one more standard USB-C port, a headphone jack, and a micro SD card reader. Would have been nice to have more Thunderbolt 4 ports as opposed to standard USB-C, but again, it's not a dramatic compromise. The rear side of the laptop is where you'll find the two hinge brackets on either corner, but in the center is where you'll find the heat exhaustion system, which is placed in a very subtle manner. Now, the bottom side of the laptop is made mostly of a metallic finish as well, and you'll also notice you have this nice large air intake vent for the active cooling system. And then on either bottom corner, you'll find you have speaker grills. So yes, this is a dual speaker setup powered by Samsung's own AKG speaker system. As soon as you unfold this laptop, putting aside the fingerprint magnet chassis, you really appreciate the fact that you have a decent amount of space for a 13-inch laptop around the palm rest area. On top of that, while the trackpad isn't as large as Dell's XPS 13, it's got plenty of surface real estate, it has a nice premium glass surface finish, and the clicks feel super tactile yet subtle, which makes for a great trackpad experience. If you thought the trackpad was great, the keyboard's even better. You'll notice you have a generous amount of surface area around each keycap, which helps minimize typos. The keys are well labeled, but the real magic is when you actually press the keys. Every keystroke feels tactile, has a ample amount of travel space given how slim this laptop is, and just generally makes for a very fun typing experience. On top of that, of course, the keyboard is fully backlit. Now, unfortunately, you will not get a 10 keypad given how small this laptop is, which makes sense, of course, but you do, however, have a built-in fingerprint scanner, which also doubles as the power button for this laptop. Directly above the keyboard is where you will find the two mechanism hinge system. So I'm happy to report that this is a very durable hinge mechanism. Not only is there a very limited wobble, they've fine-tuned it so it's not excessively tight, but it's not too loose either, which should do great with general wear and tear in the long term. Display fitting is rather interesting. So you have a horribly fat chin at the bottom, which takes away from the immersion of having a modern display. Thankfully, the bezels are super narrow and thin, which give it that modern appeal, and the forehead is also respectively thin. Now in the center of it, you have a dual array microphone system, and at the heart, you have a beautiful full HD or 1080p webcam, which actually is one of the better webcams I've seen on laptops recently. The display on this device is nothing to scoff at either, so you essentially have a 1920 by 1080p resolution, which equates to a 16 by 9 aspect ratio. Yes, 16 by 10 would have been a little bit better, but here we are. We have a 60 Hz refresh rate. We also have a OLED panel, which means the blacks look super crisp and it just has a very nice appeal to it. Past that, this is a multi 10-point touch captive system, so meaning whether you use your fingers or a stylus, you get a nice response rate. The touch system is great to use. It's not an afterthought. It's definitely of high quality. As far as color accuracy goes, you have a 100% sRGB rating or about 96% Adobe RGB, which means colors look lively, vivid, and flush, and will be great for any content creator, anyone doing color intensive activities. Past that, you do have a sustained peak brightness of 400 nits, which trust me when I say you will need, because this is a very reflective and glare attracting screen. The good news, of course, is that you have enough brightness to usually overcompensate that. Performance on this device actually exceeded my expectations. So given the fact this is the base configuration with the i5 and 8GB of RAM, day-to-day tasks like web browsing, Netflix, and YouTube obviously are going to work super fast. But even more intensive tasks like 4K video editing surprisingly are very sustainable. You do get a little bit of frame drops every now and then, but the laptop actually manages to both render and show timelines in a respectable manner. But even activities like gaming, for example, are pretty decent. Intel's integrated Iris Xe chipset can easily have sustained 30 plus frames per second at upper medium settings with games like GTA 5, which again is pretty impressive for a laptop of this size. I imagine if you went for the higher spec i7 with 16GB of RAM, you'll definitely get additional performance benefits. In the thermals department, you'll find that under a unrealistic peak load, this laptop can hit surface temperatures around 45 degrees Celsius. Yes, that's a little bit on the hot side, but more realistic sustained loads will yield you around 39 to 38 degrees Celsius, which is a much more manageable number. Now, as far as fan noise goes, you can definitely hit peak noises around 41 decibels, which isn't all that loud to be honest, and I usually find that it only goes on when you're actually doing genuinely intensive activities, and usually for short periods at a time at that. We got about 11 hours of battery life doing activities like web browsing, watching 4K videos on Netflix, and doing some basic word processing, all at 50% screen brightness and occasionally using the speakers as well. But again, it's nothing to really write home about in terms of the overall capacity. Now, the speaker quality, on the other hand, is quite fantastic. So those AKG speakers do not disappoint. It's crisp, it's loud, for a 13-inch laptop anyway. Have a quick listen for yourself.
First things first, when you're hurt, that's the worst, yeah. Tainted minds like a curse, put me in a hearse. I just don't wanna feel anymore. I just don't wanna feel anymore. Open up your eyes to
Starting at $1,250 for this base configuration and only getting more expensive, yes, the Samsung Galaxy Book 2 Pro 360 is definitely an expensive laptop. In return, however, you get a ultra slim and lightweight premium build. You also have what I consider to be an exceptionally well done display, a great trackpad and keyboard, as well as webcam paired with that. I/O port diversity, while not fantastic, isn't bad either. Some more Thunderbolt 4 ports would have been nice, but again, it's good. Some things that could have been slightly better would have been the so-called all-day battery life Samsung claims, and also perhaps the biggest aesthetical flaw with this device again is the fact that it attracts way too many fingerprints. I'm not sure how Samsung signed off on that threshold. It is a bit of a disappointment because it makes such a beautiful device look frankly dirty and disgusting with all those fingerprints constantly coming on it. But that doesn't affect function in any way or form for the most part. So I still think despite that flaw, this is a fantastic laptop for anyone who wants high quality performance in a very slim form factor and is willing to dish out the extra bit of cash for it. As always, if you guys enjoyed the content, make sure you hit that like button and sub to our channel. It genuinely helps us grow. Thank you so much for watching. Catch you in the next one.